Hey students, Miss Pavlicek here, and welcome to Wild Wednesday. It's been a few weeks since I've seen you personally, and I hope you've enjoyed some of our other Wild Wednesday programs. Today's Wild Wednesday, we're going to focus on an animal group that we call turtles and tortoises. So today we'll learn a little bit about their parts and function and what helps them to survive in the wild. We're going to look, of course, at their characteristic and what makes them the animal that they are. And then you'll get to meet a few turtles here from the Science Center. So to get started, what group of animals do turtles and tortoises belong to? What do you think? That's right, they are indeed reptiles. So again, I have my reptile board here, and we're going to go over the little characteristics or clues that makes an animal a reptile. Are you ready? Number one, all reptiles have a backbone. Now, some of you might be curious, do turtles really have a backbone? It's a little different because turtles have a hard outside covering that protects themselves. And what do we call that hard outside covering? That's right, we call it a shell. I'm going to show you a shell of a turtle. But before I do, let's just review. Here is a backbone. You can see each one of these little bones are called your vertebra. So an animal that has a backbone is called a vertebrate. And you'll see the little tiny bumps going up and down these vertebrae, and you can feel those same little bumps if you rub up and down your spine or your backbone. And there's different nerves that send signals throughout your bodies, and these little soft cushiony discs inside that allow you to be flexible and bend and move. Are you ready to see this really cool turtle shell I have? All right. Here it is. This is a turtle shell from a common snapping turtle. In this time of year, you're going to begin to see turtles coming out of the water or moving around to lay their eggs. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But you might see a snapping turtle. If you see one, you can observe and look at it, but don't ever approach it or touch it. Now, if that turtle happens to be trying to cross a road, you can be very careful to pick it up as far from the head as possible and move it going towards the direction that it's moving in. It's usually better to have an adult do this or someone that has experience. But this adult snapping turtle shell has a really neat thing when I'm going to turn it around. Are you guys ready to observe? Here we go. Wow, look at that. What is that? Yeah, indeed it is the turtle's backbone or spine. Now, how many of you have ever seen in cartoons or on TV or heard that a turtle can get a new shell or just leave it and come back? Nope, sorry. Turtles can't leave their shells. As you see, their backbone or spine is connected or fused to their shell. So it's part of their body and part of their back. Now, if a turtle cracks its shell or gets hit by a car, if the damage isn't too severe, they can repair it with some modern technology and some tools. It takes a long time to heal, but they can repair the shell sometimes. So all reptiles, including turtles and tortoises, have a backbone. Awesome. Let's go back to those other characteristics. All right, number two, reptiles and turtles and tortoises are cold-blooded. Does anyone remember what that means? Does that mean their blood is cold? No. What that means, again, is all animals that are alive have a body temperature. And that body temperature, if you are warm-blooded, stays right around 98.6. But if you're cold-blooded and you go into a warm environment, your body starts to heat up as warm as that environment is. And if you go into a colder environment, your body temperature drops down just like the temperature of that environment. That's why we don't see a lot of turtles and tortoises active during the colder weather. This is the time of year you're going to see those turtles out basking in the sun, laying on logs, and being outside doing things like laying eggs. And we call that thermoregulation, when they regulate their body temperature with the outside temperature. So very cool. All right, cold-blooded. Next, reptiles breathe with lungs. Everyone take a deep breath in and out. So reptiles breathe with lungs just like us. And our lungs are two big pockets right here in our chest. Now, there are two different types of turtles. There are turtles that live on land, and we call that terrestrial. Can you say that? Good job. And then the turtles that live in water are called aquatic. Can you say that word? Aquatic. Now, the turtles that are land or terrestrial, they just breathe every day, like normally, like we would. But water turtles or aquatic turtles actually have to swim up to the surface every now and then to grab that air, oxygen to breathe. And they also have special lungs that allow them to hold that oxygen into their lungs and be able to stay underwater a lot longer. And even in the winter, when they burrow down into the mud or kind of rest or go dormant during that colder weather. So pretty neat. Those lungs are very cool. Next, our next characteristic is they lay leathery eggs. Now, turtles and tortoises' eggs can be a little harder than something that's leather and bendable. But what you see is this time of year, turtles from the water or turtles on land will start moving around with that warmer weather. And what they do is they use their claws, we'll look at those on some of our turtles, and they dig a hole in the ground. And this is a cross section, so this would be the top of the ground, this would be the bottom of the ground, and the turtle would walk along, and then it would deposit its eggs after it digs this nice big hole into the hole in the ground. And their eggs kind of look like ping pong balls. And then they'd use their legs and their claws to cover that hole and then fill in that dirt on top. And the heat of the sun will incubate and warm those turtle or tortoise eggs. And then, when the babies are ready to hatch, they hatch out and dig their way out and make their way either to the water or into the world. And mother and father turtles do not take care of their babies. The baby turtles are on their own. And a lot of times we get phone calls or emails about baby turtles that are found in weird places, not where they're supposed to be. So we try to return them there, and you'll meet one of our turtles soon that was the instance for. All right. So very cool, turtles and tortoises lay eggs. If you want to see one of our turtles lay eggs, if you go to our website and you Google Burlington Science Center, and in the search engine you put in eggs or turtle or tortoise eggs, you'll see some cool videos from one of our turtles actually laying eggs a few years ago. All right, so our next characteristic is they have dry, scaly skin. Now, their scales or their skin is made of the same stuff that our hair and fingernails are made out of. It is a protein called keratin. Can you see that? Keratin. And their skin on their legs and their head and their arms are a little more like our skin, but the skin on their shells form in little sections. We can call those scutes, just like with our alligator. And their shell is also made of keratin. And the shell grows just like our hair, our fingernails do. Oop, high school bell. And what's neat is they molt or shed those scales when the weather or temperature is just right and their body grows. And with our turtles, we often see them and they peel off inside their cages and we can find them. So another great characteristic of turtles is having that scaly skin.
Here we have our map of the world. And we talk on Wild Wednesday about where the animals that we meet live. Well, if I had to put some red dots where turtles and tortoises live, I'm going to take these little red dots. Turtles and tortoises are pretty much found in most of the world we live in. You can find turtles in all, or I would say maybe not all, but most of our continents. Antarctica might be a little too cold for turtles, but we can find turtles in North America, South America, Europe, Asia, and Australia.
Now the last characteristic I'm going to talk about here is their babies look like adults. And when you have a baby turtle and you see its parents, they look exactly the same or very similar, just their size and their color might be a little different. And I'm going to show you this poster in just a second, and I'd like you to observe the baby turtles and the parents so you can see those differences, but also those similarities. Well, boys and girls, I hope you enjoyed learning about some of the characteristics of reptiles and turtles, and now it's time to meet some of our turtles. Hey students, I'm now in the animal room of the Science Center, and I first want to talk to you about 3 different categories of turtles and how they eat their food. Now, the first turtles that we're going to meet, they're actually tortoises, and the tortoises we're going to meet are called herbivores. Do any of you guys know what an herbivore means? It is an animal that only eats plants. Then later, we're going to meet some turtles that eat not just plants, but also eat meat. So they eat a little bit of both. Do you guys know what we call an animal that eats meat and plants? It's called an omnivore. Then the last category is an animal that only eats meat, and we call them a carnivore. So let's meet our herbivore tortoises here in the Science Center. Actually, you can see one kind of sleeping, wedged in the corner over here next to that black bin. I'm not going to disturb her, but I'm going to come over here and grab her friend. This is Fireball, and Fireball is the first animal ever that lived here at the Burlington Science Center. He came here in 1986 when the Science Center opened, and he is a very neat tortoise. He's called a red-footed tortoise. You can see those red scales on his legs and on his face. It almost looks like he has a red smile, hence the name Fireball. He's pretty cool. Now, he is an herbivore, and they love to eat plant matter. We give them here a salad with fresh fruits and vegetables, and in just a little bit I'll pull some of those out and you guys can watch him and his friend over here, Shelby, eat. Now, one of the things I wanted to teach you about turtles is the parts of their shell. They have 2 parts to their shell, the top part of their shell and then the bottom part of their shell. The top part of their shell is called their carapace. Can you guys say that? Carapace. It acts as a protector. It's kind of their core of their whole body. And again, it's made of those little section called scutes. And you can see how they grow in layers as the turtle gets bigger. And it's very, very hard. Very cool. Now the bottom of the shell here, which is like their belly, it protects the bottom of them. It's very strong. That is called their plastron. Can you guys see that? Plastron. Very good.
plastron. Now, one of the things that are different about Fireball and Shelby, Fireball is a male. And what you're going to notice is if I turn him sideways, you're going to see that his plastron is curved or concave. And that's because when he's a male, he needs to mate with his friend Shelby. And what he does is he sits on top of her, she's underneath, and it allows her shell to fit in that curve or that concaveness underneath to allow him to mate with her to have babies. Now the other thing we'll look at, some parts and functions of our turtles. You can see those nostrils or that nose that are connected down to their lungs to breathe. You can see they have big eyes. They don't have great vision, but they can see motion and movement and color really well. Turtles and tortoises tend to love things that are red and orange and bright colored. They love to eat the dandelion flowers that are outside right now. Look at those legs. Very long, and they kind of bend and move in a certain direction to allow them to walk. Now, most people think turtles are slow, but when the temperatures rise and a turtle's on a mission, they can actually walk and move fairly fast. Now, when we look very closely at the bottom of his leg or his foot, you can see those claws. And the claws are not sharp, right? What do you notice about them? Hi, it's nice to say hello, he's waving. They're kind of flat and dull. And that's because they're used more to push or for digging. They're not really for protection. They don't use their claws to attack or to grab. They use them to mostly get around and move. We'll look at those back legs. You can see their skin is very loose in certain parts of their body, and that allows their legs to move. And you can see their back claws are a little bit longer because they use them to push and move a little bit more than they would their front legs. And the last part down on the bottom is their tail. Now, tortoises use their tail almost like a fifth leg. They can use it to prop up and to kind of push themselves along. But on the underside of the tail, I don't know if he'll show us. The underside of the tail is where the turtle goes to the bathroom. And that's an opening called their cloaca. Can you guys say that? Cloaca. And then, of course, the neatest thing about their legs and their tail, you can see he kind of tucked his tail here into his shell. See if I poke him, he tucks it in. They can retract and pull all their body parts in as a protector from predators. You can see his throat moving. Yeah, that's part of helping them breathe. Very, very cool. Now, my next question is, do turtles have teeth? What do you think? Thumbs up? Thumbs down? Let's look very closely. Any teeth in there? Turtles actually do not have teeth. They have a bony kind of ridge. It's sharp right along their mouth, and they use it to break apart and chew and eat their food. They also have a wonderful long pink tongue to grab and help themselves to eat. So what I'll do now is get some food, and I'll pull Shelby out. You can see her too, and we'll watch and observe them eat. All right, boys and girls, there's Fireball, who we met, and this is Shelby, who is the female tortoise. One of the things you'll notice is that her shell is really bumpy and not as smooth as Fireball's, and this is called pyramiding. Shelby was fed a poor diet as a young turtle. Someone wanted her to get big really fast, so they constantly fed her dog food, which is not good for an herbivore. A little bit of meat is not bad. They might eat some, dead flesh in the rainforest from where they're from, but as a general rule, we don't want them to eat meat, and her shell grew too fast and is now deformed. I'm gonna put this plate of fruits and veggies down, and we'll watch them and observe them eat. You can see Fireball uses his nose first to smell it. And then you can see that tongue. And remember, no teeth. They just have to use that bony mouth. It takes a while for them to eat that food. Shelby's over here smelling her strawberries. Maybe she wants some. They love the orange. Nope, Which one is she gonna pick? Oh, she wants her strawberry. Is it good? Oh, is it a burp? That was really good. Yeah, here, Shelby, I'll help you. Here you go. Dad? No, you want to do it yourself? Okay. Shelby actually laid eggs a few weeks ago. She was in our outdoor enclosure that we have here at BHS at the high school. This is their enclosure. They can get some sun and fresh air. This is Shelby digging in the dirt. And here are the 2 eggs that she laid. And this is the incubator we put them in. And unfortunately, those eggs were not fertile, even though we do have a male and a female. But it was really, really neat to see. There she goes. Watch her use that mouth. No teeth. Fireball's really enjoying his orange. Whoa, that's a big bite. Oh, and Shelby too.
Hey students, now we're going to meet some of our omnivore turtle species. We just met some tortoises that are terrestrial or live on land. Now we're going to meet some turtles that are aquatic or live in the water. Now this first turtle I showed you a big shell from before. It is a snapping turtle. And this snapping turtle's name is Bowser. And Bowser is a little baby snapping turtle, approximately 2 years old. And Bowser has a neat story. Bowser was found at the front doorsteps of Francis Wyman School as a little tiny baby about the size of a quarter. He was dehydrated and looked very sick. And Eric here from the high school, Calandrello, he works in the IT or computer department. He found him and brought him here to the Science Center so we could take care of him. And what I'm going to do is grow him up until he gets a little bigger so other predators like birds of prey or bigger turtles won't eat him, and then we'll release him somewhere to a nice natural body of water. Now, you can see that carapace on the snapping turtle is a little bit different. It's kind of taller and has a little bit more points. You're also going to notice, what do you notice about the plastron? How is it different? It's a lot smaller. It's actually tiny. It doesn't cover a lot of him. Whoops, he's releasing some water right now. Now, the reason why they're called snapping turtles is because they snap to protect themselves with that hard, bony mouth. Now, his neck doesn't look very long right now, but it's actually about this long, and it's like an S, and it can retract and pull out and retract and pull out. And because their plastron is so small, they can't pull themselves in their shell to protect themselves. So if nature gives you a small plastron, perfect, did you see that? If they give you a small plastron, the only way to protect yourself if you can't pull yourself in your shell is to bite and snap. So that's why they're so, that's why the snapping turtle, look how far he can reach his neck out. Yeah, he's getting a little upset because he's out of the water. Whoops, sorry, I'll put you back in. Now the other thing I'm going to show you, I'm going to grab my camera here so you guys can see. This is where Bowser lives. And this is Bowser's tank. And Bowser has a little cave. You can see him swim. Notice when Bowser is swimming, he's using his claws, and he has webs in between his feet to help him swim and move along. You can see him sticking his nose just up out of the water so that he can breathe, and he's going to go right back into his cave.
Bye, Bowser.
Now, snapping turtles eat a variety of different things. They'll eat plants in the lake, pond, or stream that they're in, or swamp, and their shell will get covered with lots of beautiful green algae. But they'll also eat different types of meat, like fish, or even something like a baby duck, or a crayfish, or anything that might be in that pond. They're very opportunistic, which means they'll eat pretty much anything. So let's meet our next group of omnivore turtles. All right, boys and girls, so here's Bowser's cage, and here's our next turtles. These are an aquatic turtle called a painted turtle. And they're called painted turtles because the orange on the underside of their shell looks like someone painted a beautiful pattern. You're going to see them using those, oh, look at those webbed feet and those long claws to help them move around. You can see their carapace and their plastron, and that tail almost acts like a rudder inside the water. And there goes the nostrils up at the top to help them to breathe as they move around. Now, this is Rocco and Roxy. They were also found as baby turtles in Tewksbury, Mass, in someone's backyard far away from the water. Oh, and somebody looks like they're hungry. Hi, how are you? You're going to notice that turtles require some heat. This is actually a heat lamp. They will rest themselves here to warm their body temperature up. And they also have these special light bulbs that represent the sun to get special vitamins. Are you guys hungry? Do you want some food? Okay, boys and girls, I'm going to get some worms for them, and we'll be able to see them use that beak-like mouth to help them eat. So we'll do that, and maybe I'll feed Bowser for you too. Hold on. Okay, I'll be right back. Okay, boys and girls, we are back at the turtle tank, and I have these little mealworms here. So first I'm going to put one in Bowser's tank. I'm going to shut this lamp off just so it's easier for us to see. And I'm going to drop that little worm in, and we'll see if he's hungry. Oh, look at that neck. Oh, nice grab. Nice grab. Using that beak-like mouth to eat his worm. Good job. You can see he's got to use his tongue and that mouth plate to pull that worm in. Okay, you want another one, buddy? Here we go. Oh, snap. Yeah, so we feed them a variety of pellets, which is made of algae and plants. And they also get 3 different types of live worms here. All right, Rocco and Roxy, are you ready? Oh my gosh, are you? Oh, they get so excited. Okay, you ready? Oh, I'm afraid you don't eat my fingers. Here we go. Oh, I dropped it. Here you go. Over here, over here. There's some worms. Yep, they're over here. They're so excited they don't even see them. Oh, there he goes. Oh, grabbed it, grabbed it. Good job. Let's go to the bottom. Let's go to the bottom. Let's watch from underneath. Oh, yeah, good job. Oh, little guy's not getting anything. Come on, little guy. Go ahead. There he goes. Oh, he got one. Yeah, good job. You can see they eat pretty quickly. Nice. Now, most turtle species live a very long time. Fireball and Shelby live to be 60 to 80 years old, just like us. And water turtles can live up until their 20s and 30s. And snapping turtles can live to be almost 100 years old. So if you're ever thinking about a turtle as a pet, it is a long-term commitment. They're really neat, and they're fascinating creatures, but it's a big responsibility keeping something that long. All right, we've got one more last turtle we're gonna meet here at the Science Center. Bye, Rocky, Rocco and Roxy, we'll see you later. All right, boys and girls, here's our next cage of turtles. These are what we call box turtles. We'll talk to you why they're called box turtles. You're going to see that these turtles are terrestrial, meaning they live on land, but they also have a very big water dish. And most turtles do not drink water. Does anyone know where they get their water from? Any thoughts? Some of them get them from their food, whether it's the plants and vegetables and the fruits they're eating, or the worms and the moisture inside the insects. But turtles will actually
absorb water through their cloaca or their bottoms. So I tell kids, turtles drink through their butts. And what they do is they don't actually drink, they soak themselves in this little bin here. Now, we're gonna meet our little box turtles. These are 3-toed box turtles. And we have Mia and Dorito. This is Mia over here. And one thing you'll notice about Mia's shell is it has some discoloration. Someone took care of her very poorly as a young turtle, and she got a fungus, which is a type of mushroom that actually started to eat away at her shell. But she's doing great now. She's really cute. Say hi. Hi, Mia. And then we have Dorito. Dorito is also an unwanted pet. And Dorito is very sweet, but she is very slow. And I want to show you why they're called box turtles. So they're called box turtles. Watch how Dorito pulls her head and her legs in to hide. When I turn her plastron, you can see the plastron. She also has some old scars for someone who kept her bark way too wet, started to eat away at her shell. But you see this line or this hinge? And they call them box turtles because they can close that hinge up, just like she is now, to hide and protect herself. So it's almost like a box where it folds closed. You can see she pulled her back legs and her tail in. And they love to burrow, these land terrestrial turtles. They love to burrow in the bark. And we keep this bark moist, but not super wet. Hi, Mia. Do you want to come over and say hi? Yeah. So here we have Mia. Wow, you can see those eyelids. They are very wrinkly and they help close to keep that eye protected as well. It's very cool. And again, those claws for digging. And look at the beautiful plastron she has. And there's that hinge that makes them a box turtle. Hi. That long neck to be able to reach out and grab food in different places. Awesome. Turtles are such neat, fascinating animals. I often say there aren't many people who don't love turtles. They're very likable and lovable. These slow-natured, gentle creatures, so interesting, so many different parts that have different functions for what they do. We'll finish watching them eat for a little bit, but boys and girls, I hope you enjoyed our Wild Wednesday about turtles. Remember, my email address is pavlicek@bpsk12.org. And if you have any questions or you want to tell me anything or share anything that you learned, you can email me anytime. I hope you have a great rest of the day. And I hope you will think about what you learned about turtles the next time you might see one outside in the wild or at a zoo or nature center. Have a great day.